Hello everybody, this is Kiran and today we are going to learn about test plan document. So in the STLC, the second step is to create a document which is called test plans. So in the previous session, we have seen how to do test estimation. So after the estimation is complete, we come up with a document which is called test plan. So to understand how to write a test plan, we have to go through some topics and see what all is there inside that planning document. So today here's the scope and how to create a test plan. So these are the steps which we have to follow to come up with this documentation, which is a test plan document, so that we can start working upon the plan and finish the testing activities as planned. So the first step before creating test plan document is to analyze the product. Of course, so we'll go through each step one by one. So analyzing the product is to understand the business flow of the product, to know the in and out of the system, to know who is this product made for, what is the major functionality of this application, and who all will be using it again, and which all technologies have been used to create this product. So we'll just quickly expand this and learn more about analyzing the product. So who will use the website? Important, because imagine it's a banking application, so you should know that which age group and which nationality or which section of the society is going to use this software, so that you can test accordingly. So who will use this website, what it is used for, of course why this has been made, and what all are the major functionalities of the product, how will it work, of course what are the logics, how is it going to, what it is going to perform, and how is this entire software working. So knowing about it is very important before you analyze any product. And of course what are the softwares, technologies and hardware used. So if an application has been created for a mobile device, so it should be tested on that device. So knowing for which device or which operating system or using which technology it has been made is important. After the analysis is over, the second step is about, if you can just go back to the diagram, designing the test strategies. So I'll quickly go through each pointer and then we'll elaborate. So designing the test strategies, we'll elaborate in the next few minutes, and then we will be defining the test objectives, why actually we want to do testing, and then test criterias. I'll show you two criterias of testing, which is suspension and exit criteria. Resource planning, who is going to do what on the project. Test environment plan, so where you have to go and do the testing and execute the test cases. So which all devices, browser platforms, everything is decided in this test environment setup. Then schedule and estimation, very important, milestones of the project, what you have to deliver, by what timeline, everything is decided here. And then finally the test deliverables, like what all you have to deliver as a part of this testing activity. So these are the pointers, we'll elaborate each one of them. So we talked about analyzing the product, then let's talk about developing the test strategy. So to develop any strategy or of testing, we need to first define the scope of testing. Now, what is scope? So when you say scope of testing, you need to describe what all you're going to do as a part of the testing. Let's say you're going to perform automation testing, you're going to perform database testing, and maybe you're not going to perform performance testing and security testing. So those two components, those two types of testing will be out of the scope of the testing. So you have to define what is in the scope and what is out of the scope in this scope of testing. Based on, after analyzing the product, you should come to know that what is the scope of testing. Then there is identifying the testing types. What all testing types you will be applying in the entire testing cycle. So of course types of testing is yet another session which we will be elaborating there, but then now here you have to understand, in the document you have to mention and list all the testing types which you will be performing on the software. So identifying the testing type, then risks and issues. So you have to analyze what risks you might be facing while you are doing the testing, and what mitigation plan you have, or what remedial actions you will be taking. So you have to mention everything in the plan, what risks and issues might occur. And finally, in the test strategy development, you have to also decide about the logistics. Logistics means who will test, who is doing what in the team, and when will the test occur. So again, so entire logistics of the testing should also be created as a part of the testing strategy creation. So these are the 4 steps, which sub steps rather, in the test strategy development. So we'll just list few testing types, so that will not elaborate them here, because there is a separate session for this. But in the meanwhile, you can see unit testing is being done by the developers, and there is API integration, system testing, install and uninstall testing, and then agile testing. So what all type and genres of testing we are applying will be mentioning here in the test plan documentation. Now going back to the diagram again, the third is defining test objectives, isn't it? So we'll go and quickly open the test objectives. Here we go. Define test objective. So why we are doing the testing? So you have to mention that, okay, we are doing the testing so that at the end we should have a product which is completely bug free, and also the product is matching the client requirements. So your objective should be very much defined, and you should know why you are doing the testing. Then criteria. So you have to define the test criteria. So there are 2 types of test criteria. One is suspension criteria. So what is suspension criteria? You say that you'll suspend the testing if a certain situation is occurring. So let's say you have a situation where the smoke testing is not passing. So you'll suspend the testing. That, okay, we need to send this bill back, and we would do the testing only when this criteria is met. So your smoke test failed. So you will not do any testing further. Or there is a major issue in the system. There is a showstopper, and so you have your suspension criteria is, if there is a showstopper, we will not go further with the testing. We need to get that blocker fixed, only then we'll do the testing. So if you can see it in this flow chart, you have to define the suspension criteria. Okay, on this criteria we are going to suspend the testing. And second is execute the test cases. When you start executing the test cases and you meet the suspension criteria, so that whatever criteria you had set for suspension has occurred. So now you have to stop your testing. So you can see the diamond. If it is yes, then you have to suspend the testing. And if it is no, then you have to finish the testing, like complete the execution of test cases and finish the testing. But if it is a yes, that yes, the suspension criteria has been met, then you have to suspend, stop, and then the developer will fix it. So once the developer has fixed that, and the suspension criteria is no more being met, now if the answer is no, that the developer has fixed the failed cases. Yes, he has fixed the failed case, then you'll go this side and you'll execute the test cases again. But the developer has not fixed the failed cases yet, then you'll have to again suspend the testing. So that's how suspension criteria is one criteria wherein you have to stop testing. The second test criteria is exit criteria. Exit criteria means when can you say that yes, you have to stop testing, as in you have completed the testing. Your successful testing is done. So maybe there's an example like, okay, 95% of all critical issues are resolved. So when everything is okay, now you can say, okay, fine, I have to now exit testing. That is, I have done my testing. I am okay now to go ahead. So that is exit criteria. So 2 criteria here, suspension and exit criteria. Point number 5, resource planning. Important because who is doing what, who is the manager in the team, who is going to be performing, who is going to perform manual testing, who is going to do automation testing, who is the person who will be doing the back-end testing, or somebody who is the again QA lead. So everybody's hierarchy and chronology should be properly mentioned, and they should know their roles. They should know what they have to do. So that's the major reason of writing or creating the resource planning in that document. Plan test environment, yes, because it's very important to know where you are doing the testing. You should know which server you have to do the testing. And the environment details should be provided to the testing team by the network team, and this should be properly mentioned in the document, that which environment you are actually testing. So that environment detail, the server details, the browser where you have to perform testing, what all devices you are going to do testing on. So everything should be properly mentioned. So planning the test environment is very, very important, and it has to be mentioned in the test plan document. Like what is the maximum user connection which the website can handle? So how many people are going to use the system, hardware and software requirements. Does the user's computer need any particular setting, to do the testing? So if we do have to do some software installation and updations, we need to configurations, whatever is required should be done. So everything, all these are mentioned and answered. Schedule and estimation. Important. Timelines. When you're going to do what, by what timeline you have to deliver the test cases, by what timeline you have to do the build testing for this section of the application, and by when you'll be able to complete the automation or start the automation. So all schedules, all estimations, all efforts needs to be mentioned in this document also. So once you do that, all the estimations are mentioned properly. Finally, we come up with the last section, which is test deliverables. So test deliverables that are provided before the testing phase. So before, even if you start the testing, what all documents you have to provide? Maybe the test plan document which you are submitting, then test cases documents, the scenarios might be extracted before you actually start executing, or the test design specifications, how you're going to actually do the testing, and all the designing, the high level and low level designing specifications can be submitted before the testing phase. And second is the test deliverables that you are going to provide while doing the testing. So while you are actually testing, you will be providing the test scripts, you'll be providing the simulator details where you're going to do the testing, test data, exact data with which you're actually executing the test cases, RTM, the test traceability matrix requirement or test traceability matrix that you can provide during the testing phase. Also the logs of the errors, what is the current status of the error, and the execution log. Suppose you are executing the automation cases, then you can submit those logs and show that these cases are failing, these cases are passing. So all these are documents or the deliverables which you will be providing during the testing. So you have to remember these lists, because it's a very important topic, because you should know at what phase what you are going to deliver. And the third is the test deliverables at the end of testing cycle, like after the testing execution is over. So going to deliver the reports. Of course, you have to deliver that, okay, fine, all the regression testing is over, the system testing is complete, now it will be sent to the UAT phase, or some of the minor issues which are open are these, no showstoppers open. Then the defect report, of course, like what all of the bug, number of bugs open, closed, and the number of bugs leak, the defect leakage ratio and everything. So we'll be learning about that in the bug section also. And then in the test results, you have to also mention about the automation reports and everything, that all the test cases passed. So test results will be overall testing status and the current number of tickets which are open, closed and everything. Defect report will be focusing only on the defect. And installation and test procedure guidelines, you can create guidelines to help other team members and at the same time also help the clients, because it will go in the maintenance activity. They might need these details from us, so you should deliver these as a part of the after testing cycle documentation. And finally, of course, the release notes, which will cover all the details about the builds and releases which has gone through in the entire cycle. So this is a slide which contains the test deliverables. Very important to know and understand all the documents, and so that you can have a clear idea on what we are working and how we are working on, what all documentations actually we are following as a part of the testing cycle. Now I'll show you a test plan document sample so that you get an idea how it look like. So this is a sample on my screen. So we have a name of the product for which we are doing the testing. It will have be prepared by whom, then the date, and table of contents will contain whatever we have discussed so far, whatever is going to be there in the test plan document. So introduction, objective, scope, everything, strategy, environment, schedule, and resources, risk, tools, everything what I mentioned is there. you can just have a look how it look like. So summary of the project and the objective of testing, the tasks we are going to do, the scope which is in the scope and out of the scope of testing, and the strategies we'll be planning. So all the strategies which I mentioned, 4 strategies that you have to mention here, all the types of testing you have to mention here, unit, integration, system, regression, whatever you're going to do. And then if at all you're doing performance and stress, it has just been mentioned as a part of the type of testing. And then there is something like environment requirements. Yes, you have to mention what all where all you are going to do the testing, the hardware requirements, software requirements, and the servers where you have to actually do the testing, the schedules, and the features to be tested, not to be tested, the resources who are going to be a part of this whole cycle, and the deliverables, of course, risk analysis and mitigation plan, of course, and the tools. And that's all. So that's a template of a test plan document which we maintain in any software we test. So today we learned about what a test plan is, what all steps we have to follow to create a test plan. So we learned about analyzing the product, designing the test strategies, then defining the objectives, defining the test criteria, which is suspension and exit criteria, resource planning, planning test environment, determining a schedule and estimation, and determining the test deliverables. So all these we have to mention in the document, and then our test plan document will be ready. And then we'll actually start working on the software. We'll start writing the test cases and everything. So here we go. So that's all from today's session. And we learn more about testing in the upcoming sessions. So thank you everybody.